Hi, students. Say hi. Hi, students.
This is Nadia trying to introduce the jury simulation activity that we're going to do.
We just have some questions for you, sir. Just answer truthfully.
Okay.
What is your ethnic background?
I'm just white. I'm just a white guy.
And your gender?
Male. I'm white male.
Your name?
Robert Barfield.
And your age?
I'm 35 years of age.
Your occupation?
I'm a tow truck driver.
What is your family situation? Are you married? Do you have children?
I am divorced with no children.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
Let them come, man. As long as they're cool, let them come. They deserve all the chances I've had. Lord knows.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
I don't. I just don't. I really don't.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
Well, that depends on what they got tied up in. If it's just a theft or something small like that, I'd be more willing to be forgiving, I guess. But if it were something more than that, like a theft or, well, not really a theft, I just said it's not, but like a carjacking or a murder or attempted murder or something like that, the more and more I would not trust you. That's just me.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
Well, that's the reason why I'm not married, so I don't really have a lot of patience for them, so.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
Well, as we all know, weed's not a drug, but I'm a firm believer that you should shoot your neighborhood drug dealer.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Well, like I said, that comes back to what crime he committed. If it was a theft or something like that, I'd be more willing to forgive him, but anything more than that, if we start getting into moral gray areas and all that stuff.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
About as trustworthy as police officers.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
I have, yes. I was carjacked back in 2002.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers or young adults?
Well, they inherited a very rough time. They have a right to be angry.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds?
Try not to. Try to be as fair and impartial as I can, but inevitably I'm a human being and we all have our biases, no matter how perfect we claim to be. We all have our biases, but that's it, I guess. I'll try to be as fair and impartial as I can.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
What is your ethnic background?
My family is originally from Ireland, and I'm Caucasian.
What is your gender?
Female.
What is your name?
Renee Ryan.
What's your age?
60.
Your occupation?
I am a small business owner. I have a small store in the city.
What is your family situation?
I am divorced, and I have grown children and 6 grandchildren. None of them live with me.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I don't care where someone is from. I think anybody should be able to live here in the U.S. I've always thought of the U.S. as a place that was welcoming to people of different countries, so I'm fine with that.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
Well, I think I could say generally, I think within every, there's always going to be some people who are not trustworthy in every field. So, but generally, I would say yes.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
I think it would depend on what the past criminal record was.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
I think that is personal business and not anything that should be judged by other people.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I honestly believe that people should have the right to make that choice for themselves, and that it should not be something that is legislated or that we are adults, and as long as they're not stealing or doing something illegal, that's on them.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Yes, I think I could, because I think I would be thinking about how maybe they ended up in that situation to begin with.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Well, again, I think in every field that there are going to be some people who are not trustworthy. And I kind of feel it's on a case-by-case basis.
Have you ever been the victim of a crime?
Yes, I have.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers and young adults?
I like teenagers and young adults, and I feel like, they're at a different stage of life where they're still learning, and I think sometimes people can make mistakes at that age, and, they're at that learning stage of life.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
Well, I think that if we are all honest, there's probably some built-in biases that we have, but I am one of those people that if I have a thought like that, I immediately step back and think to myself, why did I think that? And, I reason it out. I don't just go with, I don't stick with something like that.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Yes, I do believe in going and with what our law says, that someone is innocent until proven guilty.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What is your ethnic background?
White.
What is your gender?
Female.
What is your name?
Susie Smith.
How old are you?
I am 60 years old, last September.
What is your occupation?
I am currently unemployed, but my husband gets disability.
What is your family situation? Married, children?
I have the husband, we have one son. I have not heard from him in about 5 years.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
As long as they came here legally, I'm all for it.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
Why, yes, my brother was on the force for 30 years.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
Well, as my brother used to say, once a felon, always a felon. But I think it's fair to say that if somebody doesn't have something to hide, they can be trustworthy.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
I believe that marriage is a union between a man and a woman under God, and God has sanctioned that marriage, and extramarital affairs are against God.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
Drugs are bad. Marijuana is not a drug, though.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Well, I think if you're in a gang, there's probably something you're probably doing that's not so good,
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Oh, I believe they are messengers of God.
Have you ever been the victim of a crime?
I had my house robbed one time.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers and young adults?
I believe that millennials have absolutely no idea how the real world works.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
I believe that it's live and let live, you know. And just because I may use words that people don't like doesn't mean I'm prejudiced.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
I believe if you have nothing to hide, you wouldn't be arrested in the first place.
Okay, thank you.
What is your ethnic background?
African American,
What is your gender?
female,
May I ask you for your name?
Hunter Hart,
And how old are you?
24,
What's your occupation?
physical therapist,
And what is your relationship status?
single and ready to mingle, and I live by myself.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living inside of the United States?
I believe they make United States a better place. They carry better work ethics than an average U.S. citizen.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
Generally, yes, but not all.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
Yes.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
Not for me, but I respect other people that do that.
And what is your attitude towards drug use?
I believe drugs should only be used if necessary or prescribed.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Yes.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
They can be trustworthy at times, but everyone has flaws.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
Never.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers / young adults?
Considering that I'm a young adult, my attitude towards us is happiness.
Do you have any bias against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
No, I do not.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Oh, yes.
What's your name?
Caitlin Ferris.
What is your gender?
I'm a female.
What is your ethnic background?
I'm white.
What is your age?
I'm 32 years old.
Current occupation?
I'm an elementary school teacher.
And current family situation?
I've been married for 5 years with my husband, and we have a 1.5-year-old son together.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I'm totally fine with that. I feel like America is a melting pot, and everybody that fights to be here deserves to be here.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
I do, yes.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
I think I could, but someone with a harsher sentence on their belt, like someone who committed a felony or something, that would be a little bit more difficult for me to get past.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I do not accept drugs. I do not think they're okay in any instances.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Again, I think I would try to be impartial, but I feel like with some things, if I knew past experiences, I would have a harder time justifying actions.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
I think they can be very trustworthy.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
I have not.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers / young adults?
I think they're good. They are young and shape America, and they need our help as older individuals to help craft their minds.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds that's your own?
I do not.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
I do like to think that way, yes.
Thank you.
What is your ethnic background?
My ethnic background is unknown. I called in an ancestry test, but I got lost in the mail. I don't know what my ethnic background is. It's unknown.
What is your gender?
My gender's male.
And what is your name?
My name is Wah Luigi. First name Wah, W-A-H. Last name Luigi, L-U-I-G-I. Wah Luigi.
And how old are you?
I'm 36 years old.
And do you have an occupation?
I do. I have two occupations, you could say. I am a full-time gambler, as well as a part-time professional athlete across many sports, such as tennis, snowboarding, go-kart racing.
Okay. Are you married? Do you have any children?
I'm unmarried. I have no children, but I do have a roommate. He's a family friend. His name is Wario, W-A-H, first name R-I-O, last name Wario. We're not related by blood. He's a family friend. That's the only reason he lives with me. He's fallen on hard times. That's all.
Okay. How do you feel about people of foreign descent living within the United States?
I have no ill will against those of foreign descent living in the United States. My ma was an immigrant. I don't know from where. Again, ethnicity's unknown, but she said she was an immigrant. So I feel that if everyone's the same on the inside, you know?
Okay. Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy people?
I trust very few people in this world, and cops do not fall into that group of few people.
Do you think you could judge a person fairly even if they had a criminal record in the past?
As someone who has been accused of theft on multiple occasions, I know what it's like for society to cast a spotlight on you and make you feel like your past actions indicate your present temperament. So I feel like knowing all this, yes, I can treat people fairly, even if they do have a criminal record.
Okay. How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
There are only 2 times cheating is okay, in a poker game and on tests. Your marriage is not a time to cheat.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I've known many people who are on drugs who are good people. I've known bad people who aren't on drugs. A few friends of mine got into shrooms and hallucinogens real bad. They're good people at the end of the day. I feel like your drug usage doesn't have to do with how good you are as a person.
Okay, and do you think that you could judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
I think that many people who are in gangs are in it for the family-like bond that gangs create. And as someone who treasures his family-like bonds, I feel I can't knock people for wanting that. So I feel that because of this, I can judge people who are even members of gangs fairly. Yes.
And how trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
The answer to this question is the same as the answer to the question about the cops. I do not trust religious leaders, whether you're the Pope, whether you're Jesus. I do not trust you. I'm sorry.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
People close to me have been victimized by criminals, but I myself have never been a victim of a crime, no.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers and young adults?
I believe that the youth is not heard by some of the older members of our society, and that the youth has a lot of novel and interesting ideas. I'm excited to live in a world that the youth creates, because I feel that it will be a very interesting and diverse and different world.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
No, I do not have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than my own.
Do you really, truly believe that accused people are innocent until they are proven guilty?
As someone who's been accused, like I said, of crimes many times, I trust in the justice system. It found me innocent, which I knew I was. So I do believe that people are innocent until they're proven guilty. I think the system works, as hard as that is to remember sometimes. But I trust it, and I believe that people are innocent until they're proven guilty.
What is your ethnic background?
I'm African American.
What is your gender?
I'm a female.
What is your name?
Miranda Bailey.
What is your age?
35.
What is your occupation?
I'm a surgeon.
What is your marital status?
I am married with 1 kid.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I don't have a problem with it.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
No.
Can you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
Yes.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
Not the best thing to do.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I'm fine with it.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Yes.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Not at all.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers, young adults?
They're fine.
Do you have any basics against people of different ethnic backgrounds than yours?
No.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Absolutely.
What is your name?
Gina.
What is your ethnic background?
What? Yeah, Italian American.
What is your gender?
Female.
How old are you?
28.
What is your occupation?
Academic advisor.
What is your family situation?
2 parents. Mom and a dad and a sister and a grandparent. Parents are divorced.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I'm fine with it. We're a melting pot, this country, so everyone here is of foreign descent.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
For the most part, from my perspective, but I'm a white American, so I have a different perspective and I don't have to live under the fear of being profiled in a different way, so.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
I would have to put my biases aside.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
They're wrong.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I don't really like it at all.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
Like I said, a lot of people join gangs because of fear, and things like that.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
I don't think them being a religious leader makes them more trustworthy than anyone else.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
I don't think so.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers / young adults?
So I work with high school students. They're in a very awkward stage of their life, and I almost pity them, so.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
I think everyone has biases. Everyone has biases. No one is exempt from that. I think it's recognizing your biases and knowing which ones, knowing that it's wrong to have certain biases and treating someone, not treating someone differently because of those. So I think biases is something you can't really prevent.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some situations where it's clearly like, okay, hands down, but at the same time, there's lots of situations where there's uncertainty, and I mean, people have the right to go on trial still, and to be investigations done and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What is your ethnic background?
White.
What's your gender?
Female.
Your name?
Maddie Price.
Age.
22.
Occupation.
I just graduated from college and I'm going to grad school, so grad student.
Family situation.
I'm single.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I think immigrants are what make this country what it is.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
I mean, if anything from the past few years has taught us anything, no. They are racist and problematic, and we need to do something about it.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
I think so.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
I mean, they're not great, but, I mean, it happens.
What's your attitude toward drug use?
I mean, there's stuff like marijuana, which, you know, I think should be legal, but harder drugs aren't so great.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
I think so.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Well, if anything the past years have taught us is also that we can't trust religious leaders. I mean, the Catholic Church, sexism, racism, all those problems.
Have you ever been the victim of a crime?
Just the one time I was harassed online by someone. He stalked me for a while, and I had to get an order to make him stop.
What are your attitude towards teenagers or young adults?
I mean, I kind of am one, so, you know, I think we are the future. I think, you know, we're the most educated generation, and yeah, so positive.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
No. I mean, I have a lot of black friends, and I try to learn about cultures, and I volunteer in the city, so no.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Yes.
Thank you for your time, Miss Price.
What is your ethnic background?
Middle Eastern.
What is your gender?
Woman, female.
What is your name?
Elise Bombardier.
How old are you?
40.
What is your occupation?
I went back to school. I was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and then I went back to school. So student is my current profession.
Okay. What is your family situation? Are you married? Do you have kids?
Yes, I'm married. I have 2 kids. One is 16 and the other is 8.
How do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
I feel okay.
Okay. Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
Generally, yes. No. No. I'm gonna go no.
Okay. Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
I think so.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
I don't agree with them.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
I guess it depends on the drug. In moderation, but not like, you probably can't do meth in moderation.
I'm sorry, you probably can't do what in moderation?
You probably can't do meth or heroin in moderation. So like, I guess it depends on the drug. And you know, it's is it going to harm somebody or yourself or somebody else? So does that make sense? That's my stance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
I would think so.
Okay. How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Not at all.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share what crime that was? Or no?
No.
Have you, what are your attitudes towards teenagers and young adults?
Well, I'm living with, one teenager, so I'm annoyed by them, but teenagers and young adults, I think probably that they have a lot more freedom and they have a lot more freedom than I did, I guess. Hopefully they turned out okay.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds than your own?
Do I mean probably. I would say so. It'd be hard not to.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, what is your name?
Chuckles.
What is your ethnic background?
White.
What is your gender?
Non-binary.
What is your age?
24.
What is your occupation?
I'm a professional scary clown.
What is your family situation? Married or children?
No to both. I'm not married and I don't have children.
So, how do you feel about people of foreign descent living in the United States?
Fine by me.
Do you think police officers are generally trustworthy?
I mean, half are good, half are bad, so I mean, it's kind of a toss of a coin.
Could you judge a person fairly if they had a past criminal record?
Depends on what the record was exactly, but I would try my best to be as bias-free as possible.
How do you feel about extramarital affairs?
That's your business, not mine.
What is your attitude towards drug use?
Same answer, that's your business, not mine.
Could you judge a gang member fairly in a criminal case?
It depends on if they had, prior things, like crimes and stuff before it, but again, I would try my best to be as bias-free.
How trustworthy do you think religious leaders are?
Very untrustworthy.
Have you ever been a victim of a crime?
Yes, I hate crime towards clowns.
What are your attitudes towards teenagers or young adults?
I'm not a fan of them by any means. I don't like them.
Do you have any biases against people of different ethnic backgrounds other than your own?
We all have internal biases, but I mean, I try my best not to be biased towards others based on things like that.
Do you really believe that accused people are innocent until proven guilty?
Yes.